We have a fascinating story today in the Gospel of Luke, and it is a story about a man who was a non-Jew, a Roman, a centurion, a man of power and influence in the Roman tradition. He didn't have to be a good neighbor. He didn't have to do good works because he could always rely upon his political position or his military authority to get done what needed to be done. But this was an unusual person, even in that time. That's why the story of this individual obviously appears in the Gospel of Luke, for he was remarkable in that he was not just a Roman soldier, a man of power and influence. He was a good neighbor. We read in the passage that he helped to build the synagogue in the community where he held authority in behalf of Rome. We also read of his good work among the people in that community. And so we have a model that is an interesting model for this time in history when so much emphasis was placed upon one's political position, financial position, or military position in terms of one's well-being. But he needs help. He has a servant in his household whom he values greatly. Even that teaches us something about the heart of this individual, because servants were a dime a dozen. He valued this servant greatly and was concerned for his health and well-being. And he knows of Jesus' teaching and of his work and of the miracles. He also knows that he is interested in this person's God. He comes out of that Roman tradition, a tradition that had many gods, but yet there was a mindset about this individual that there might be a deity, a power, an influence of another tradition that is of great value. And so he calls the elders of the Jewish synagogue and asks for them to intervene with Jesus that there might be a healing. And in fact, the healing takes place. This also is a man who is humble. And I am struck by the language that we see in this passage when Jesus is approaching the centurion's home. Lord, do not trouble yourself. I do not presume to have you come under my roof, for I am not worthy. In the ancient world, these are rare words. In fact, in the modern world of politics and military might, I am not worthy is a rare phrase. Humility is a virtue, and he possesses it. Last Wednesday, in a Mass at the Vatican, Pope Francis was talking about the gift that Jesus gave all humankind. The gift of teaching, the gift of example. And Pope Francis made a shocking statement about where Christians need to find themselves. And he said, all Christians need to meet the rest of the world at the place where we do good works together. That is a remarkable statement because it signals an open-mindedness to the fact that God's work is not just done by Christians. It is done by people who are good-hearted, who care, who may be a Roman centurion, who may not be Jewish, who may be of any nationality, but it is our task as Christians to meet the rest of the world at the place where we all do good works together. Down in Pennsylvania, I have a neighbor just about a half-mile away who is the crustiest old farmer you ever want to meet. He's a good man. You'd never find him in church. Last fall, Hurricane Sandy took some steel roofing off my barn at the farm. This steel roofing was put on that barn in the 1930s or early 40s. 2 feet wide by 10 feet long, with a certain kind of rib pattern to it. He saw me there one day in the early winter, and he said, "Reverend, I have an old barn that's falling down, and it's the same kind of roofing on that barn. I don't need it. Why don't you come over and we'll take some of that roofing off that old barn? And you can have as much as you need, even stockpile some in case there's another hurricane." And I said, "Well, I would like to do that." So I climb into his pickup truck. He's got the rifle on the front seat. We move it over. Got all his barn clothes laying in there. And he said, "You know what, Reverend, I like you. You're a good man." He said, he starts to talk, and every other word is a colorful word, let me tell you. We go down to this little place where the barn is, and it's an old shed that's caving in, and he doesn't need it anymore, and we take some roofing off, and it's on a steep hill. We take these steel 2x10, it's heavy, roofing pieces off the roof and put it in the back of his pickup truck, and we're driving up this steep hill. And we have 7 pieces of roofing in the back of his pickup truck, and the tailgate is down. But we've put 2 very heavy toolboxes on the roofing. It should stay in there, right? Well, we're creeping and crawling up this hill, and all of a sudden, clatterty-bang, out on the hillside. And he says, "Son of a..." "Oops, sorry, Reverend." And we get out, we put the roofing back on, and I said, "You know what, Bill, you go up the hill real slow, I'll stay back here, and I'll hold the roofing, I'll push as we're going uphill." Reality TV would have had a wonderful show out of this. But it's an illustration that you meet people in the place where you do good works. Confirmands, you're going to meet all kinds of people in your life, and you are never too good for any of them. They're all God's children. They're all God's people. And I don't care where you've been educated, or what kind of degrees you have, or what the pedigree of your family is, or what kind of a big shot job you may have.